I've got a brand new art journal to show you and 12 new inks that look really, really good in it. We can use all sorts of other supplies as well, which we'll do. But let's concentrate on the Gods and Monsters inks. The LevARtation art journal is filled with a special type of paper that will do special things to special inks. Because it's not made from cotton, ink and paint sits on it a little differently, which allows shading and sheening inks in particular to really become quite magical and surprising. And the reason it's called LevARtation is because this type of paper's history. It was originally created for airmail because it's very, very light, but is fabulous for fountain pens and also for typewriters. The size is the drawing room journal size from my collection, which is B5, a bit smaller than my largest journals, and you can use all types of art supplies on it. First of all, we're going to mist with the Goddess bottles using the Gods and Monsters ink. This is a shading and gradiating ink, meaning where it sits and puddles, you'll get deeper and darker tones, and it gradiates, which means the colors split and shift. And then, of course, when you start mixing them with each other, you get all sorts of other effects. So I'm spraying through some of my mandala stencils, which you can also find on my website, turning to a new page, flipping, and again spraying through. And if you dab off a little bit of excess ink here and there, you'll reveal colours underneath as well. So you can alternate that sort of area. I'm showing you here that you can really get the paper quite wet. It doesn't mind, it really loves it. It will crinkle, it will get a little bit of movement in it, but it will smooth back out once the paper is dry. LevARtation paper really loves watercolour and layer cake as well. Now the way these sit on top of this paper is different to how they react and sit on top of a watercolour paper or other types of paper. And you really have to experiment and play with it. But this is a little indication of how gorgeous everything is. You can see how the layer cake paint sort of sits up on top of the paper and the watercolour sort of sinks into it a little. It's really, I love using them. You can also use acrylic paint with them as well. Coloured pencils, pens, markers, whatever you like. There's really no limit. Because the paper is very fine, though, some of the art supplies might show through or sink through to the other side of the paper. That's to be expected. And it all just adds to the charm. It's like a head start on the next page. And this part of the video was actually filmed during a live stream where I used the background that I just created, and I used a stencil I sprayed through with the waterproof tattoo ink. And as with all of my lives, I really don't have a plan of what I'm going to create before I turn up for the live. It's a very friendly group, my Facebook group, and I feel very comfortable doing that and letting things unfold as they may. And here I'm using the bite-sized version of the layer cake paint. So this is a very, very small palette. There's two different ones, the sweet treats and the secret ingredients. And they have all the essential colours. And they're in a gorgeous palette with a mermaid on them. I just adore the way inks settle and play, and watercolours settle and play, and the way layer cake and paint pen and everything else settles and plays on this paper. And as with all of the art supplies that I've just shown you in this short video, everything is only available at janedavenport.com. That's where we have the most unique art supplies in the world.